Hey, buddy, watch this.
Hello, Regis Kilbin is the name, and Hearthstone is the game, and this is a deck guide for my Old Gods budget Cthulhu Druid. Now, when I say budget, that's exactly what I mean. This is a very inexpensive deck that costs only 600 arcane dust to craft, and it is designed specifically for new players who don't have a lot of cards and certainly don't have a lot of dust to make some of the mid to high end decks. So this is designed for people who are either brand new to the game, maybe returning to the game after a while and don't have the latest cards, and just have a little bit of resources to work with, but still want to jump onto the ranked ladder and start ranking up and start learning the game at a higher level. So this deck is not going to take you to Legend. This deck will only carry you to something like rank 15, perhaps rank 10 if you play it very well and you make a few select upgrades here and there. But it does have a lot of potential for people who are learning the game and has a lot of pieces that can still win you games against very competitive decks. So this deck is essentially a ramp Druid Cthulhu deck. So ramp Druid means that you have a couple different ways to increase your available mana pool and mana resources in a given turn so that you can play bigger minions sooner, and often includes big taunt minions as well, so that you can stabilize the board through taunts in the early to mid game using those ramp skills, and then finish off the game with big taunts as well while looking for your Cthulhu as a finisher for the deck. So there are ramp pieces in the deck, there are Cthulhu minions, there are lots of big taunts, and when you combine all those together, you've got a pretty nifty deck that can win a surprising number of games. So that said, I want to go ahead and run through all the individual cards in the list. Since this is designed for new players who might not be familiar with every card necessarily, or what they do, or why they fit into this list, and I want to make that quite clear. So let's just go ahead and jump in, starting with the first card, Innervate. This is a 0 mana spell that allows you to gain 2 mana crystals this turn only. So if you're at 2 mana, you can cast Innervate, you'll jump to 4 mana. You can play stuff like your Cthulhu's Chosen, Chillwind Yeti, etc. If you go from 5 to 7 mana, you can play your Dark Arakoa a little early, so on and so forth. Wild Growth is a similar spell in many ways, but importantly different. It's a 2 mana spell that allows you to gain an empty mana crystal. So that means when you cast this on turn 2, you spend all your mana, you go up to 3 mana, and then the following turn you'll be at 4 mana. So essentially you skip your 3 mana turn and you jump right to 4. So it takes a little while to build up, but that gain is permanent. So your turn 7 comes sooner, your turn 8 comes sooner. If you cast 2 Wild Growths, essentially you could play your Cthulhu 2 turns early on turn 8, that kind of stuff. So that's what allows you to get these bigger minions near the end of the list out early and make them relevant in a timely fashion as opposed to waiting forever. So casting Wild Growth when you get it is very important to the success of this deck. Wild Growth also has a side benefit when you play it at turn 10. Since it doesn't have any other value, it does actually allow you to draw a card. So there's some additional card draw and card cycle, which is good in a deck like this that's designed to last until the late game, where you might expend a lot of resources. Up next is Wrath, another 2 mana spell. This one is essentially a removal spell with a little bit of flexibility. You can do more damage, or you can do a single point of damage and simultaneously draw a card, just depending on the game, depending on your needs. That flexibility is very important and gives the deck early game resources to survive, either in regards to board control in the early game or when generating a handful of cards as well. Up next is Beckoner of Evil. This is the first Cthulhu card, and this one's included for free with the Old Gods expansion, so it's not even the 80 dust you might expect it to be for both of these. But this is a simple 2 mana 2/3, which is a solid enough body that allows you to get out onto the board and start making trades. Also has the battle cry that eventually buffs your Cthulhu. Up next is Novice Engineer. This might not seem exciting as a 2 mana 1/1, but the deck does need some card draw. You gotta find those big things to play. You gotta find your Cthulhu to win you the game. So Novice Engineer is good at that. It's not the ideal turn 2 play. You can play it on turn 2, but it's really designed for mid to late game, filling in those little holes in your mana that inevitably arrive, top decking and finding a big taunt in the late game as well, since this card draw is instant. Up next is the 3 mana Disciple of Cthulhu. This is a nice little minion that is both reactive and allows you to develop the board. You can do the 2 damage from the battle cry to kill something while developing a minion yourself. Also has the nice battle cry that buffs Cthulhu. This deck would run 2 of these, but it is a rare card and the only rare card in the budget list. So as soon as you can craft another one, if you want to continue playing Cthulhu decks, it's going to be a key piece in virtually every Cthulhu deck ever. And it would also fit into this list as well, so I would encourage that. But for right now, we can only afford 1 while staying under our 600 dust limit. After that is another 3-mana Cthulhu minion. This time it's Twilight Elder. This one is really all just about developing a nice board presence. A 3/4 is a fantastic minion on turn 3. If you can innervate it out on turn 1, that's fantastic too, because the longer Twilight Elder is on the board, the more Cthulhu value it's going to generate. So innervating it out on turn 1, it might buff Cthulhu 3 or 4 times before the opponent actually finds a way to deal with it, which can make a huge difference. Plus, it just trades very efficiently into many early game minions thanks to these solid stats. Up next is a free card called Swipe. This is a 4-mana spell that does 4 damage to a single target and then follows up with 1 damage to all other enemy targets on the board. So essentially, it's kind of flexible, right? You can do pretty substantial single target damage to anything if you need to remove a minion, but you can also ping off a lot of little stuff, and it's surprising how often Swipe lines up perfectly for enemy boards and helps you trade efficiently. You can also use it as direct damage to your enemy's face, which sometimes will just win you the game outright. Up next is Chillwind Yeti. This deck needs mid to late game minions, and there are not an abundance of great ones that are affordable, so Chillwind Yeti actually makes the cut here. I will go ahead and jump down to the Claxi Amber Weaver, another rare card in this list. You'll note that they're both 4-mana 4/5s, but the Claxi Amber Weaver has a huge battlecry upside. If your Cthulhu has at least 10 attack, remember we're buffing our Cthulhu with all these other things. It starts with 6, so you only need 4 extra buffs. Then this will go to 10 health in total, so that makes it 5 health better than the Chillwind Yeti for the exact same cost, and that will often go off even by turn 4. So as soon as you can, swapping out 1 Chillwind Yeti for a second Claxi Amber Weaver will make this deck substantially better. But right now, again, just for budgetary concerns, we went ahead and included the Chillwind Yeti as sort of a weaker substitute for the second Claxi Amber Weaver. There's also the Cthulhu's Chosen at 4 mana. This is another just solid minion that gives your Cthulhu a buff. It's a 4/2, which sounds like a bad stats for 4 mana, but the Divine Shield actually makes it incredibly good because it can trade up with Impunity, so it can kill something with 4 health without actually damaging itself, so it's sometimes very difficult for opponents to deal with, and requires them to use 2 kinds of things to deal with it. So a solid minion that fits our Cthulhu plans. After that is Darkscale Healer. This is a 5-mana 4/5, so quite a few 4/5s here in this range. This one, though, restores 2 health to all friendly characters. This is another minion that essentially makes the list just because there aren't that many great mid-range minions available in the free set, particularly to Druid. So this one has solid enough stats, but also the health is actually quite good. With a deck that has so many big taunts that we're going to get to soon, and high health minions like the Claxi Amber Weaver, there's a very good chance you'll have stuff still on the board that's taken damage, just incidental damage from trades here and there. So the Darkscale Healer might heal 2 to 3 minions when you play it. Plus, every deck helps, to have a little bit of self-healing, just to sometimes put yourself out of lethal range and buy yourself an extra turn. And Darkscale Healer does heal yourself as well, so occasionally it might save you from that lethal damage that allows you to set up a taunt or eventually win the game. Up next is Druid of the Claw. This is really a go-to Druid minion that's just packed with value. Sometimes it's a 5-mana 4/6 with Taunt, which is one of the first big taunts that this deck utilizes to stabilize. Other times it's a 4/4 with Charge, which can just be an instant 4 damage to clear a minion that has to be killed, or sometimes to hit the enemy's face for lethal damage as well. So the flexibility here is really nice, but also just good stats on a taunt minion are fantastic for this deck. After that is Starfire. This is not a card you typically see played in most Druid decks, but I actually really like it. It does 5 damage, so that 5 damage can be to the enemy's face, sometimes for lethal. Can also be to a minion, and there are a lot of 5 health minions that cause problems and are very good. So Starfire's damage lines up nicely. Plus, we do still need more card draw resources. You'll note we only have a few ways to draw cards in this deck, from Wrath and Novice Engineer. So Starfire is yet another one. Particularly around turn 6, 7, 8, you're going to start needing cards probably because you're going to be low on resources. So it comes at the perfect time. It answers minions at the right time as well. After that is really one of the best Cthulhu cards in the game, I think. And it's really what makes budget Cthulhu Druid a thing. Without Dark Arakoa, I'm not sure that building a budget Druid designed around Cthulhu would make a lot of sense, but this card is just so strong that it starts to make sense, because it is a common quality card, so it's quite affordable to craft. Plus, it's a huge taunt. It's 5/7, and the 5 damage makes a big difference, and the 7 health is huge too, so it's just one step up from your Druid of the Claw for a single mana. So it's actually playable as a 6 mana 5/7 taunt. Like, that's a good card already. But it also has the best battle cry for Cthulhu in the game outside of some special cases. So it gives your Cthulhu +3/+3, which is huge. So really all upside on this card. It fits the list perfectly. It's a nice big taunt. It's a great stat allocation. I absolutely adore Dark Arakoa as a card. There's also Ironbark Protector, another free card from the Druid set. This used to not be a great card because of things like Big Game Hunter used to be very affordable before some nerfs, so it's very easily killed. Nowadays, it's much more likely to survive and even get in an attack, so it's just another big taunt to help you stabilize and buy time to play into, of course, the crowning achievement of this deck, the big baddie himself. It's Cthulhu. This is your finisher. Essentially, this is what wins you games. It's a 10-mana 6/6 to start, which doesn't sound that great, but the Battle Cry in Cthulhu is probably the best Battle Cry in the game. Deal damage equal to this minion's attack, randomly split among all enemies. So yes, when you buff this Cthulhu to a 20/20, which is quite possible given your Dark Arakoas and your Chosens and your Elders and your Beckoners and so on and so forth, you'll do 20 damage to the enemy's board instantly. So that means you'll kill some minions. That means you'll hit their face. Sometimes if you play it on an empty board, you might just take them from 20 to 0 and win the game. But not only that, your Cthulhu sticks around as well, right? So you'll also have a 20/20 minion on the board after the fact. Now, a lot of people can remove a 20/20 minion in various ways, but the Battle Cry is instant value, and it still forces your opponent to react. And if it doesn't outright win you the game, it can still give you big advantages that you leverage for wins in the ensuing turn. So Cthulhu is a fantastic budget card since it's a legendary, but you're actually given it for free as soon as you play Hearthstone and Old Gods. So pretty fantastic option for budget decks to build around. So that's it. That's the budget Cthulhu Druid list I've put together and play tested here. It's pretty fun and it's surprisingly good. That said, I have actually developed an upgraded version of the list as well. If you really like this playstyle and you love Druid and you want to craft some additional cards that will not only be good in this particular list, but also be valuable assets to your collection and continue to help you build both Cthulhu decks and future Druid decks, then I've added some in here. So this is an upgraded Cthulhu Druid that now has a 1200 arcane dust limit. So I doubled the dust limit, so it's still not kind of the final version of Cthulhu Druid. That would have many more legendaries included in the late game. But it's a better version that does the same kinds of stuff slightly better. So essentially what changed is we added in the Living Roots here, which is just a cheap early game card that can be both direct damage and removal and early board presence, which is nice. We added in the second Disciple of Cthulhu, as I teased before. We added in the second Claxi Amber Weaver, which can make a big difference. We added in the card Mire Keeper. This is a really nice flexible 4-drop that can be basically a 5/5 in stats across 2 minions, or a 3/3 that attaches a Wild Growth to it, so more ramp cards are fantastic. We added in a Nourish, which really just bundles together all the card draw cards, like the Novice Engineers we had before, into a single card. We added a Druid of the Claw, we didn't add a Druid of the Claw, that's still there, but we also added a Doom Caller, which is another late game bomb, essentially, that has big stats, has a nice battle cry that buffs Cthulhu, but also if your Cthulhu actually dies, if they use like a Shadow Word Death to kill your Cthulhu instantly, Doomcaller will give you a second Cthulhu, so you can draw into it and play it again, which is pretty fantastic. So that's my upgraded Cthulhu Druid list. It's pretty nifty. But that said, I still want to take the official budget version, the 600 dust version, out onto the ranked ladder, and I want to see it in action. We've made some nice gains on our rank. Unfortunately, I might lose some of those gains, because I will say, remember, this deck is not designed for high-end players competing at the top of the ladder. It's designed for new and growing players who are playing around rank 25, rank 20, rank 15, maybe up to rank 10. But this currently is rank 5 for me, and it's not even the end of the season yet. So rank 5, I think we'll see, is probably the top 2 or 3% of the player base. Yeah, so this is top 2% still right now. We should probably be legend by now. We're a little behind the season, but so we're going to be playing way above what I expect this deck to be able to perform, right? So these are going to be legend. As you can see, we're playing against a legend level player since he does have the legend card back. So these are going to be very refined decks, lots of legendaries, super competitive, and very skilled players. So sometimes, right, if you're good, you can overcome those legendaries and stuff just on the back of smart plays and knowing what you're going to face off against. But we'll try our best. I think this deck can certainly win games at this level. It's just going to do so at a less consistent rate. So in other words, I film these in session, like all at once in one session. I do not edit out losses. So if I lose the next 3 games, this video might look like my deck sucks. This is an awful deck. You lost 3 straight games. But don't let that get you down. It just means we probably had a little bit of bad luck and we're playing incredibly challenging matches. It does not mean that the deck is fundamentally flawed, and I've playtested this a lot, and I've used my experience as a regular Legend player and deck designer to know that this deck is quite capable and has what it needs to win at the ascribed ranks, I should say. So we're playing against a warrior. We should actually talk about the game a little bit. We actually kept our mulligan, which is unusual just because we had really good early game minions. When you're mulliganing, you're really looking for the Beckoner of Evil, the Twilight Elder. You're looking for Innervates and Wild Growths, maybe a Wrath as well. Just depends a little bit on the matchup. Against warrior, minions are typically better because if they don't have that weapon in their opening hand and they can't deal with your early game minions, sometimes it just gives you a huge advantage. You might eventually play into something like a Brawl, but you can still just load up your board and kind of just push them over with all your stuff. So as far as trades here, we do have to kill the Acolyte. They have so many different ways to activate their Acolytes with damage themselves that he might draw 3 or 4 cards out of it, which he has a lot of cards, so it probably doesn't make that big of a difference. But it's kind of a free trade for us, and we don't necessarily care too much about doing 3 face damage right now. If he executes this, that's a huge win for us because we have so many big taunts coming that he'd be wasting an execute on a bad resource. Bash, on the other hand, it's pretty good clear there. Shield Slam as well on this? No. Coin of Fire War Axe on this, it looks like, yep. So that was a pretty good turn for him, honestly. He used a lot of cards, so his hand is looking a little worse, but still pretty good. We'll actually coin out the innervate out the Dark Arakoa here. We float 1 mana, but as I mentioned, I think in the lead up, sometimes you can still play this on turn 5, right? Like it's okay. The innervate was worth it because this shuts out the Fire War Axe a little bit. It's very unlikely he can shield slam this, so he might have to like trade execute. Which is pretty inefficient for him because he's taking some damage in the process. He has the Ghoul execute, it looks like. That, on the other hand, is better because he does get the trade here too. And we actually don't have a great answer here. We kind of need some good stuff. I don't think we'll Starfire that because I do want to get some minions out. He just used the Ravaging Ghoul, so this 1 health stuff looks a little tastier than usual. The problem is I cannot Hero Power and Disciple of Cthulhu to kill that if I play the Novice Engineer. So I'm kind of walking myself down a path here where I don't have a way to kill this, but I do really want to draw cards. It's sort of an unfortunate predicament. I'm still going to do that, though. I really wish that had been a minion instead of a Starfire. Now if he plays like a whirlwind effect, he does kill his own Ravaging Ghoul. Like, he can trade either way, but that's not that bad for us. I also want the Cthulhu buff, right? Like, he's already at 17. The Warrior's at 23 health. It looks like he is going to maybe... I thought he was... I think he... I just noticed, right, that he considered hitting my face, which means he thought about attacking and using a whirlwind effect. So we're fairly sure he has a whirlwind effect right now. If you watch for cues like that when you're playing, sometimes you can learn about what's in their hand without really knowing, right? So I think he has either a whirlwind or revenge or another Ravaging Ghoul we might see come down. It's one of these 4 cards. It's gonna Blood to Ichor. Okay, we can do stuff. I don't really think this is a good swipe. Druid of the Claw Wrath is okay. We're going to have a Cthulhu soon, and it's going to have 17. A part of me kind of wants to start hitting his face, right? Like, is Cthulhu just going to win me the game, maybe? But we'll play it smart for now. I can Wrath the Acolyte and kill it. Or I can Wrath the Slime and kill it. I think I'll Wrath the Acolyte. He's only got 5 cards. If we shut him out of cards right now, he'll have 7, of course, when this is all said and done. But maybe, you know, the 1 or 2 cards that he drew off the Acolyte could make a difference between winning the game or losing the game. So I'm going to deny his resources first, right? It looks like he's got a Shield Slam on the Druid of the Claw. And a good trade here. It sets up a swipe, though, for us if he plays something. That's not really the thing. I can Starfire Hero Power. It's not good, though. Swipe doesn't line up very nicely, right? Because it has 6 health, not 5. But we need to kill this eventually. Alright, so we're not in a great spot, unfortunately, but we're in an okay spot. Cthulhu next turn might actually make sense, but I probably want to bait out more of... Oh, that's actually scary. We don't have a way to deal with that at all. And that Ironbark Protector is very bad against that, right? Because if he gets a free hit against Ironbark, we're just really in trouble. I'm going to Wild Growth first. Remember, this does draw us a card. We could have Cthulhu'd, right? There was a chance it killed that stuff, but it was pretty unlikely. This is surprisingly good. It does not die to Ragnaros, right? So it's surprisingly good. I have a debate now whether I play the Chosen or Hero Power that down. I think I'll play the Chosen just to get my Cthulhu bigger a little sooner. And he does have, like, if you know, he can't rely on the Ragnaros hitting this, so it's not like this is 10 damage between these 2 minions. So he's got to do some other way to trade, right? He probably is going to, like, Fiery War Axe or bash this. Probably a bash, if I had to guess. If he bash Shield Slams, that's really rough for us. True Heart Shield Slam is similarly rough. Okay, so he didn't have it. That's actually pretty good. That's actually fine, too. I don't mind that. Is a 19 damage Cthulhu any good here? I don't think it is. I can, like, Wrath here, swipe here. I think one of these has to die no matter what I do. This is actually a challenging turn, right? So I can Wrath, trade, and swipe on the True Heart, and that draws me a card even. I think that's the best option. And the order here doesn't really matter. Alright, that's actually a good draw for next turn. Not right now, though. So it's important which minion I traded with there. I traded with the one that had 2 max health. This has 10 max health. Remember, we do run the healer, the Dark Scale healer in our deck. So this is potentially a 4/4 if I draw that. It is a little susceptible to execute, but frankly, if he uses an execute on a 4/2, I'm as happy as can be, because that means he did not use it on my Cthulhu or my Ironbark Protector or whatever other minion I play next. Oh, that's scary. That makes Cthulhu really bad. And I'm at 8 health, so this is pretty scary. We could have been dead there. Goodness. I think I have to Ironbark here. It probably means I'm dead, though. He has 7 damage guaranteed. If I played 2 minions, then essentially Ragnaros is going to do 8 to something, right? So right now I'm just dead. Of course, he has 7 as well from these 2 things. So I have to kind of try to find ways to mitigate this. If I played 1 big taunt, trade execute means I'm dead because I have 8 health, right? So maybe 2 smaller things is good, because 1 could eat the rag hit, 1 could eat a weapon charge, and I can actually go to 9 health from the hero power. I'm very likely dead here. There's like a 99% chance I'm dead, right? If he activates the Grom, I'm dead. In other words, he can activate Grom, trade, kill, and then Rag will actually only do 1, so that doesn't technically kill me, right? But it probably does, in essence, kill me. Cthulhu wasn't a good play because it's unlikely I would have killed both of these things. Would have had to hit mostly these 2 minions because they do have 16 health together, and this is was a 19 at the time of the buff. So only 3 Cthulhu hits could have hit his face, or otherwise we would have just died again. So I think that was the best chance to keep us alive. We're still in a bad spot. I don't think he sees it, or he doesn't have it just yet. Remember, he is hero powering for 4, so Shield Slam trade does not guarantee it. Execute trade does not... Oh man, this is actually... We might have it. Shield block, Shield Slam doesn't do it, actually. We are going to stay alive, I think. Alright, we're alive. Okay. I think I have to Cthulhu here, unfortunately, and it has to kill both minions, and he has to have no direct damage. All of which are incredibly unlikely outcomes. I could Dark Scale Healer, but then I can't kill these things, right? And it just goes 5 to face, or 10 to face. So we'll have to wait and see what happens here. It's a good start! Oh my gosh! Okay. Technically alive is the best kind of alive. He needs a bash. I think bash is the only thing he has that kills us. I think it's bash or bust. He has no. He's used both fiery war axes. That doesn't do it. He's gonna execute it though. Oh, brawl! Oh my gosh, we might win. Cthulhu. Oh my gosh. Well, at least we did win the brawl technically, right? So we can Ironbark hero power, and I think we're alive. We're not happy about it, but oh, actually, it might be better to dark scale hero power. Oh, double dark scale is even better. That is an instant play. That is an instant draw. That's so good. That's what I said about the dark scales, right? Like, sometimes they just push you out of lethal range. He's used his Grom. He's used both fiery war axes. All he has is bash for direct damage. Oh, that's pretty good, though. Okay. We've been in worse spots. We'll play this. It means that the Sylvanas will steal something. But it saves me 5 health to my face, right? And we're going to go face and try to race him down here. So we don't want the Sylvanas to steal the Ironbark, obviously. But he's going to be at 12 health next turn. It's going to be very hard for me to find lethal without like a swipe. Or Druid of the Claw, maybe. Or if we keep the Ironbark, we're in a decent spot as well. So he can trade. The Ironbark will be at 3 health. He'll steal something. Revenge. That's pretty good, honestly. Now he knows he's going to steal one of these 2 and kill my Ironbark. That's pretty good. Shield Slam, too. Oh, man, that's actually tough. Oh, man, this went from bad to worse. We need a swipe really bad. Okay. Alright. We're still dead to bash, right? We're dead to bash again. We hit the bash range again. So he's got a pretty good chance of killing us soon. He's also healing for a lot more than us, so we need to somehow mount a lot of pressure. Ysera. Oh, that probably draws him lethal. There's probably 4 or 5 ways that's lethal. He's got... it's lethal now if he got Dream, or if he got Ysera Awakens, but any of the other ones are not actually lethal. Dream can remove the taunt and he can run 4 to face. Ysera Awakens, he just does 5 to face. So if he got the minions or Nightmare, we're still in it technically. Looks like he doesn't have it yet. Looks like he got Nightmare. If this lives this turn, we might just win the game. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. Druid of the Claw doesn't win me the game. I don't think I have anything that wins me the game here. So he's getting legendaries now. Pretty much every... Oh, that's the worst draw on the deck. I think that just loses me the game. I have no way to kill and... I guess technically I can attack here and... no, I'm just dead. He can just trade this way and go face. I'm just dead. Well, that's pretty sad, but we just took a straight up wallet control warrior with 85 legendaries in his deck. We took him to... Oh, I guess I'm technically alive, right? I technically am still alive. I thought I was dead, but oh well, that seals the deal, I guess. Okay, we're technically still alive, I think. We're not going to win, but we're technically still alive. He has to have Dream, or Nightmare kills me. He's got, like, one of those Ysera cards has to kill me, right? Like, it just has to. That'll do it. Yeah, so as I said, the budget Cthulhu Druid, 600 dust deck, just played this, you know, legend level warrior with an insane deck all the way to 3 cards left. And we had him, you know, basically 1 turn from lethal at any given point. So, you can clearly see the potential of the list. Now, that was an insanely long game, so we may not play as many games as usual, because that pretty much gave us an insight into everything you could ever imagine with this list. We didn't draw our Chillwind Yeti. What else was missing? I think the second Druid of the Claw, maybe. None of those things would have saved us, especially once he played that Golden Monkey. That really sealed the deal. But what a fun game, though. I mean, a really, really fun game. Innervating a Yeti doesn't feel that good against Warrior because they can do stuff like bash, shield slam it, you know, like they can execute. But I am actually going to surprisingly keep the Dark Arakoa just in case I can innervate it out, like super greedy turn 3 or something if I get a wild growth into innervate kind of stuff. It could make a huge difference. This dies for free, but I don't have anything else to do of value, so we'll go ahead and do it. This is a pretty bad start for us. He's already got board, he's generating armor, all things we don't want to see, and that also is bad. So, I don't even really have a good play. I guess I can kill this. It's some value. Next turn I can innervate out the Arakoa. That's pretty solid, particularly if he has like a hero power turn here. We might be in an okay spot to stabilize. That's not that good. We'll try this and see if it sticks. It's 6 damage showing, but technically not 7, right? Man, how close was that last game? We were at 1 health and we almost came back at 1. That would have been something. Slam, execute, it looks like. No, slam, cruel taskmaster, trade. So this is definitely like a tempo warrior. It looks like not Well, it could be control. We don't really know based on that alone. This is a pretty good turn. Playing 2 minions at once is good because the axe can't kill both of them in the same turn. We got a good Arakoa to follow up. We've actually landed in an okay spot despite that rough start. So there's a chance we pull this game out. He's probably got a way to do 1 damage pretty efficiently. It looks like this is actually another control warrior. Intriguing. I do like to see a little more diversity in lineups when I play stuff, but I'll see what I can do. There's a good chance he has a shield slam here to kill this. Armor up, shield slam. But I still wanted to just play it. If I use the shield slams and the executes right, then that's kind of annoying, right? I think I'll play the Novice Engineer. And I'll go face, and I'll just trade there. And I can use the swipe to kill it if I want. Alternatively, I could play the Beckoner of Evil and really take a chance that it steals something bad and hero power it down. I think I'll do that. It's going to be a 5-2 even if it steals the Arakoa. I'll attack here. There's a chance I could kill the Arakoa with it if it steals it, but if it steals this, then I lose 2 damage. So it's kind of like a halfway. All right, so it worked out, right? Because it sold that one, so it's a good thing I attacked first. And that's probably the best possible outcome, other than the Novice Engineer, I guess, but second best possible outcome. Mitigated the Sylvanas turn quite well. Oh, that's a good play. Shoot, he's got a. Surprised he didn't trade here. He's basically setting me up to kill this, and I probably will with the swipe, right? That's 1 mana off. I have to kill that. Unfortunately, I can't also play my Twilight Elder, so we'll just have to hero power. He's got a good kill, but I have some good stuff happening here. Our Cthulhu, man, if we'd gotten out on the board a little earlier and he was lower damage, our Cthulhu could maybe kill him. He hasn't seen the Justicar Trueheart yet. So our Cthulhu right now is 7 damage off lethal. Make that 12 damage off lethal. Alright, that's a thing. Could charge to kill that and play the Twilight Elder. I could also just play the Iron Bark. I think I'll play the Iron Bark because I could still charge to kill that next turn if I want. This, he technically cannot hero power Shield Slam. So, unless he has like a bash, might be in an okay spot. BGH! Okay, well, it's not going to get used on my Cthulhu at least. Do I just Cthulhu now? He just used the BGH. He won't have a Shield Slam. He may not have an Execute Activator. I'm going to go for it. If it doesn't kill a minion, I can actually innervate hero power. He probably has like an Execute Activator Execute, but I don't know. He just used the BGH. Like, oh, he drew the Activator. If that was his only Activator for the Execute, man, I'm going to be real salty. Oh my gosh, we should watch his hand. Those 3 cards, if none of those is an Execute Activator, he got so stupidly lucky. I'm not going to play the Druid of the Claw yet, because it dies for free to the Justicar, basically, whereas neither of these do. In other words, this is not a good trade. If he takes out the Twilight Elder with it, I feel pretty okay about that as well. I think we're losing the game now that our Cthulhu died. But are those 3 cards Execute Activators? That's what we want to know. Gorhal technically was, but he would have had to take 18 to do it, right? So not exactly. So now we're down to those 2 cards. I'm going to watch this the whole game because I'm pretty salty. Alright, so the Gorehound makes the Druid of the Claw pretty bad. Kind of means I want to charge out the Druid of the Claw, I think. And I'm actually going to go this way. It gives him 3 Gorehound targets instead of 1 really good one. So in other words, I kind of split my resources this way. So are these 2 cards Execute Activators? Nope. Brawl isn't, so it's that one. That's the only card left that could possibly be an execute activator. In other words, he top decked my Cthulhu kill. If that's not like a Blood to Ichor or, you know, Whirlwind. Or... It's going to be that leftmost card, so it'll be pretty easy to track. We're in a really bad spot here. His Scorehouse is just getting stupid value, and that Brawl was good too. We don't have any way to pull Cthulhu back, so I don't think we have a way to win the game, but we'll watch and see. I have to play minions. Innervates have really been dead draws for us. They work out nicely against stuff that doesn't have hard removal sometimes, but... Oh my goodness, that was Reno. That was Reno. That means, oh, he top decked. That means he top decked that Ravaging Ghoul that enabled him to kill my Cthulhu. That was it. He used his BGH. I played my Cthulhu. It should have won us the game, but he top decked the Execute Activator. He had no other way to activate it. So I'll continue to play this out. We're in, again, a pretty rough spot, but technically he's at 16 health, so who knows. If we stick, you know, an Ironbark Protector or something, it's possible, but he is healing for 4 every turn, so it's very unlikely we can win. But we'll try. No harm in trying. I cannot believe. Oh, that was probably his only execute too, right? Because it's a Reno deck, so. We don't need to innervate. It's probably never going to get played, unfortunately. It's a little sad, but this is good. He used his weapon on our face, which signals Gromosh. He's going to maybe try to kill me this turn, but we have the taunt, which is pretty fortunate, because otherwise we could have only went to 9 health. Revenge, okay, it's a good start. Drew a card. He's down to 7 cards, and so are we. It's kind of been crazy to me how long we're going toe-to-toe with these control warriors. I think it's a great sign of the deck's strength. Just raw strength. That's the shield sign, it looks like, yeah. Is that a bash? Yep. Fire War Axe. Okay, so he used his Grom activator, but it doesn't really matter because he has 4 damage right now anyway. So I need like an Ironbark or a Dark Arakoa. Starfire, I don't think wins me the game because Grom's gonna do 4, and he has 3, so that's 7. He has 8 damage represented right now. I can technically remove 1 damage like this. I don't think I have a 4-mana taunt. I can't even Dark Scale, so I think I'm just dead to Gromosh. But maybe not. Maybe he was just really being aggressive with the Gorehowl because he drew the Fire War Axe. I don't remember when he drew this, but that might have been the logic. I think he's... Oh, he top decked the Grom, so he actually didn't have it. We played around it for no reason, but we didn't. It's not like we had a choice. We played what we had. Alright, so we'll try one more game, just because I'm just really pleased with how both of those went. Despite being losses, we went toe-to-toe. And frankly, that game we should have won, because he got a ridiculous top deck activate for execute. If he hadn't drawn that, I mean, come on. Come on. Alright, so Wild Growth is... We finally drew Wild Growth early. That's nice. Unfortunately, it looks like this will probably be Zoo. Which, it might be a little slow for Zoo, particularly if we don't have a taunt. We have some minions, though, so we might be okay. We'll see. Glad we got something other than a control warrior, though. That's quite... quite a relief. So I'll probably actually coin out the Wild Growth here, and maybe even innervate out the Beckoner of Evil. No, actually, I take that back. I'll innervate out the Druid of the Claw next turn, because I'll be at 3 mana. Innervate will put me at 5. Not sure yet what kind of deck this is. He's not done anything yet, so typically slower plays signal hand lock. Those are actually reasonable cards. I was thinking about charging, right? Because if it's Zoo, the 4 health is probably enough, but if it's Handlock, Shadow Bolt kills a 4 health minion, so the 4/6 is probably likely to live longer. I don't want to 4 health into a Shadow Bolt on turn 3. Or a Soulfire, or, you know, there's a couple different things. Probably actually double Novice Engineer next turn as opposed to the Beckoner of Evil just to refill my hand. Like, I could do one or the other. It depends on what I draw. If I get something that's like a 5 or 6 drop. Oh, gosh. I don't think I have a draw out of that, right? Novice Engineer into Wrath is the only thing that kills that. Wow. Oh man, that was a 2 out of 23. It's actually a really big deal. That's a really, really, really big deal. I can't believe that actually happened. So this is definitely a slow Warlock. Looks like a Handlock or maybe some sort of Reno. Some sort of Reno deck. That's an 8 mana play. I don't really need to get the Beckoner out. I'm going to play the other Novice and probably the Twilight Elder here. Disciple of Cthulhu, I could actually kill that, but it plays pretty hard into like Hellfire, so I'm just going to go face and let him dictate trades. If he does Hellfire this time, he'll kill his own Twilight Drake for me, and this will still survive. So I think this is the better route. If I traded for him, right, I would have wasted resources killing the rest of the Twilight Drake. And I would have played my Cthulhu into a Hellfire. So yeah, definitely the right play there. Here, I think I'll actually play both these guys. He just used an AoE. We drew the Cthulhu, so the buffs getting out might be very relevant. And in fact, we're kind of already pressuring him for like Reno, right? He's down to 15. He might have to like Siphon Soul here. Because otherwise we're going to do 7 and take him to 8. Bran Farseer. So yeah, he was thinking about the heal. Wrath. Do I want a Wrath for cards, though? Oh, I think I do. I think I do. And, which one do I Wrath here? I think actually this one, right? I'm gonna take a huge risk, and I'm actually gonna leave that Bran alive. I don't want to trade my dude into it. I want another buff. It can get punished pretty hard, but I don't know that he has anything to use it with. And I have a good clean trade next turn, or hero power maybe. Siphon Soul, he didn't, so I made the right decision there. That was worth a few extra points, both Cthulhu and health. So he just used Siphon Soul on that. If he doesn't have like a BGH here, this thing might live. BGH and Siphon Soul down also means Cthulhu might live. I think we're going to see a tap Reno. I think he's really nervous, as he might, well, should be. A lot of people don't play around the Ironbark Protector these days. Faceless Manipulator. I like it, though. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. That's part of his combos. Looks like he's a combo Reno lock where he uses a discounted Leroy Jenkins and a Faceless Manipulator and Power Overwhelming to do like 20 plus instant damage. So we don't have any hard removal in this deck at all, which is certainly one weakness of this deck. So we'll just go ahead and make that trade, and we'll do this, and go face, and go face. And our Cthulhu theoretically represents lethal next turn, but the Imp King boss is actually quite troublesome. So if our minions don't survive or we can't trade efficiently, we may not be able to pull it off. Or if he plays another big health thing, you know. Ragnaros, oh man, I don't know that there's a good outcome here. Face is definitely the best outcome, but I think that denied our lethal. Not this guy, not this guy. It's the second worst guy. I think I gotta wait on Cthulhu, unfortunately. I think I just have to. I think Cthulhu has to give me lethal. I could have played it and hope it killed the Rag, but it's still bad against the Imp King boss. Pressured him quite a bit here. I need Rag to miss again. Like hit my face. Especially not the Druid of the Claw. Because I want to be able to push for lethal. That is scary good. That's also scary good. I don't think I'm going to have lethal here. Miss, 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 miss. Ah, that's bad. It's really, really bad. Starfire on this. Technically, oh, Starfire on face would have felt good if he didn't taunt. Man. I'm really scared of the Reno, right? So Starfiring face is like super risky. The Emperor is less scary because he did use the faceless manipulator, so I don't think I'm going to get comboed, but it's still a big dude. I could Starfire trade hero power. That leaves me with 2 mana, and I could hit 4 to the face with my Druid of the Claw, but then both Rag and Emperor Thorson get super good for him. But the question is, does that give me a potential Cthulhu sneak lethal? If I don't kill the Shambler, it's just gonna cause chaos on my board. So that's not very good. I'm going to go face here to try to sneak a lethal. He probably Renos, and I think if he Renos, we just lose the game outright. If he doesn't have Reno, though, there's a chance, right, that he feels awkward about this trade because he doesn't want to do damage to his dudes, and he thinks his Rag might snipe it. But Reno just wins the game. Yeah, he's Renoing. He wouldn't have lifestepped otherwise. That's Reno Jackson right there. Oh, Alex Straza. So not Reno Jackson, but by God, quite similar. So our Cthulhu would have to hit 15 all to face. The discounted Alex Straza is pretty legit. Ironbark Protector really doesn't help. I could Ironbark trade down the Thorson, but then he can Alex Straza hit 8 to 9 to face. I don't think that really... I think it's the technically correct play, but I think I'm just probably dead. Because he'll have at least 9 damage, so, you know, Power Overwhelming wins him the game. Well, not Dark Bomb, because we're in Standard. Any number of damage spells in the game here. That'll do it too. No, actually that's 50-50 because the Rag might hit the Ironbark. Oh, well, that'll do it for sure. There's the other half of that combo we were talking about. So you had about 7 ways to kill me there. Alright, so a third loss is pretty unfortunate. I hate to lose 3 straight games in any given video, but I think anyone watching would have to admit that the budget Cthulhu Druid swung well above its weight as far as playing competitively at rank 5 against legend level players and super greedy control decks nonetheless. So we were playing guys with tons of removal and lots of legendaries, and we still held our own and almost won 2.5 games, right? We were in a position to win that third one, but it was pretty far out of reach there at the end. So that'll do it for this video. I hope you give this deck a shot if you like Druid and you have access to some of these cards, or it looks intriguing and fun to you. I think it'll bring you quite a bit of success. So thanks so much for watching, and until next time, game on.